What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of MIDCONVO. We have a special guest with us today. Obviously, we have me and Paul, but the person joining us is Andrew Glatt. He is a photographer and entrepreneur based in Chicago. Note, entrepreneur with a lowercase e.
Lowercase e.
Yes, and if you guys are Chicago-based or if you guys are on Instagram and you recognize Andrew's name here, the reason why is because he's the one behind Friday Morning Swim Club. And we got some awesome mugs here, bro. Thank you for that. We got some swag, but we're about to get into a whole lot with Andrew, share a little bit around what he's doing right now, his story, and how he's been able to really bring together the community. And let's first and foremost roll that intro music. Yo, Andrew, thanks for hopping on the mic in your city.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Dude, I love just whenever we bring on a guest, I'll hop on Google and search their name and be like, yo, let's find out all the dirty details on this man or this female, depending on who's on the episode. And it's so evident that when you search your name,
I have some stuff.
there's some good stuff.
Okay. All right.
Dude, I gotta say, like, I love just from like a first glance, you're really creative. You value bringing people together. And I just want to call out right now, we're doing an entire season on the theme of building with others. And that's why we reached out to you. And I first want to know right now in this season, for someone that might not know Andrew, what are some of the things you're working on and what do you do?
Oh man, we got a lot of things. Co-ran Friday Morning Swim Club with my best friend Nicole Novotny here in Chicago for 3 years running. And that was just solely centered around bringing people together in a physical space and getting them off their phones and in the water. It was the highlight of my career to this point, and just kind of we're rolling off of that. We shut it down due to some issues, which we'll get into, but and then we're just I'm pivoting and figuring out what the next iteration of that is. How do we continue bringing people together to just form some genuine connections and conversations? So currently building a sauna business with my partner Sarah. That's the next version of it, and then we'll just keep building. I love the theme when you guys reached out and it was building with others. That's like, I don't really refer to myself as an entrepreneur, hence the joke about lowercase e. I would say more like builder and connector.
That's awesome.
That's just what I want to do with the next 10 to 20 years is just build things that bring people together.
That's awesome.
Dude, you're like the perfect person to talk to about building community.
We'll see about that.
I've also heard from mutual connections that you're just like a really good dude who loves, connecting people and bringing community together in Chicago. And that's like huge because I feel like a lot of times when you're in like the creative space, you kind of get into your own little bubble.
Mm-hmm.
It can't happen. And so when you meet these individuals that want to hop into community and bring them together, it's just like, I feel like they don't get highlighted enough. And so I'm really excited for this episode. Diving into a little bit about Friday Morning Swim Club.
Yes.
For people who don't know what that is, like just for some context, what was Friday Morning Swim Club and how did that come to be? And let's go down that journey just like a little bit.
That's a great question, because even people who do kind of know what it was, I think they just know from Instagram or they see it and they're still like, what in the heck is this? Because it's just a wild visual. It started, so Nicole and I started Swim Club the summer after COVID, really, like 2020, right? So we had my buddy John and I were training for the Chicago Triathlon in 2020, and it obviously got canceled. But in training, we had made a routine out of long bike rides along the lake every Friday morning, followed by a dip in the water. And that was just what we did every single week. Leading through that summer, even though the tri got canceled, we still did it. But that was kind of a routine throughout that summer that I just, winter came, we stopped and then picked it. Like I just kind of forgot about it actually. And then Nicole and I, Nicole just decided the summer of 2021 to start getting like our core group of like 10 to 15 people every Thursday evening to just hang by the lake, like seltzers, beers, whatever, just chill, catch up, hear how everyone's week was.
Wow.
I know, right? It was her idea.
That's cool.
It wasn't mine.
Yeah.
And then in doing that, I had remembered, like going back that prior summer, I was like, oh shoot, I totally forgot. Like that was that was every Friday morning, knowing that when we were sitting there Thursday evening, knowing that the following morning I always went to the gym at 5:30.
Mhm.
And then I was like, what would that look like to bring back the tradition from the previous summer? So just after the gym, bop over to the lake and do what we're doing now, Thursday. Let's just carry that over to Friday morning and then make it open to literally anyone who wants to come. So that's kind of what we did. The first one was just me and Nicole. That's it. And then the next like 4, 5, 6 weeks consisted of me just like poking people at the gym in person.
Yeah.
Just like, hey, y'all want to come out
Bro,
and try
let's
this?
let's go hop in the lake.
Like knowing what it was doing for us and the like hour it was giving us to, like I said, put our phones down and just do this, hear about how our week was, catch up with people that I wasn't we weren't seeing those people monthly, let alone every week. But having that thing every Friday morning gave us an excuse to connect and just check in on each other. And so through just like annoying people, I think it's a general annoyance of just getting these people to come out and try it. That's a skill of mine, is like annoying people until they say yes. It eventually went from 2 to 4 to 8, and it just kept. The interesting thing was we had no social media.
Wow.
There was 0 social media.
That's crazy.
Was it all word of mouth then?
It was word of mouth, and it was the annoyance. And I say annoyance, but really it was just like genuine invite. And people can feel that when you really, like, the reason you're asking them to do this is because you think it's going to provide something for them. It's not like, we want you to come because we think you're going to have a good time.
Wow.
And it's good for you. Not for any reason other than that. And so I think people could feel that. I think swim club, the way it grew that first year, it got to like 500 with no online presence at all.
Wow.
And then we just kept it rolling into the next year. And it consisted of, to go back and answer your original question, consisted of meeting at the lake at 7 a.m. every single Friday. Nicole owns Printers Row Coffee Co. Shout out Printers Row in the city. They have 2 locations, but she would bring cold brew. Just like what started that as a little carafe, and then it grew and grew into gallons of cold brew.
Wow.
For free. And so people would dip in the lake,
Drink
get
some
coffee afterwards, and just connect with each other.
Bro,
That's so cool.
let's touch on real quick. People are showing up with floaties.
Yeah.
I think that's an element that is also cool, is not only like were people showing up through an invitation, through word of mouth, but people had to, like, they were bringing something. And I think that's cool. And that's why when we do meetups, we tell people bring your camera, not because we have a plan, but it's like, no, bring a camera so you're not just showing up empty handed. So it started with the power of the invite and more of an idea that came up because it was already something you guys were doing. Going to the gym and inviting people, I think, is super awesome, because these are people that you might see more than some of your own family members.
Yeah.
Because you're spending time in the gym every day, I'm guessing, or every other day. So the fact that you would invite them first as kind of like, just come, focus group, check it out. We don't even have a logo or a website or an Instagram handle. Just goes to show that you're a connector and that you really do value bringing people together. And I think post-pandemic, that's something that everyone was looking for.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
they didn't know how to navigate that.
Yeah, and I think just like going back to what you said, the power of the invite, like you started small, like you started with inviting like 5 people and then 8 people. And then before you knew it, it was like, what was like the biggest it got to? Like the biggest turnout, I
Dude,
guess.
it was so hard to, we put stories up every Thursday to gauge
how many people would come.
and like a poll. Yeah. Like how many people are at least saying they're going to show up. I think 3,500, 4,000 was the most on the poll response.
4,000
No,
people?
but hold on.
Oh, okay. I was going to be like, that's
No,
wild.
But the actual number that I would take, so my buddy Simeon, who is in Seattle, great, like DP photo, everything,
cool.
all the
I'll have to
things,
connect with
super
him.
talented dude.
Yeah.
He would run the drone. It was just me and him for visuals. But we could not have made what we made, our content, any of that without Simeon. So he, in running the drone, would just hand it over and I would go edit it. And when I edited it, I would always like attempt to count, but it got to a point where I'm like, I can't.
Wow.
I am circling like what I think is like 20 people and then just multiplying it. We got like 3,000.
3,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, just imagining, like, if people, because the website's still up, which is super cool.
It is still up.
Like if you
It's
go
all
to
still up there.
FridayMorningSwimClub.com, there's like those drone videos you were talking
Yeah.
about and those aerial photos, and there's literally like over 1,000 people just like jumping into the lake.
Yeah.
It's a wild visual, which
Dude,
is super cool.
I would literally be at home edit because it would just consist of, we do it Friday morning, and then we had a super consistent, like, I guess, content strategy, if you will, but like we had a schedule, and it was every single week looked pretty much the exact same. And so I would be editing. I'd just be sitting at my computer every Friday going through the drone footage, just like, what the like, look at how many people are in this water.
Wow.
It's just,
Where do you think this all came from, though? Because, like, is it how you were raised? What is it in you that's like, I want to invite people to things? Because I'm sure even before Friday Swim Club, you're like inviting people over for drinks or inviting people to the coffee shop, whatever that looks like. Have you ever sat down and been like, why do I get so excited about this?
That's a great question. I don't know if I have an answer to that, honestly. I would give more credit to the reason Swim Club went the way it did was Nicole and I, like the team. So it's equal Nicole, equal me, but also our crew of, like I said, probably 10 to 15, like our chosen family who really, it was just a group thing to create that culture. And like, that's the biggest thing to me is I think I already mentioned this, but I genuinely think that people can feel when something is authentic and is real, right? And if that is the culture that you create, whatever you're trying to do to bring people together, people are going to feel that. And so I haven't really thought about if that's how I've always been or why. It's not really a thought. It's just how
It's interesting because you don't really realize it, but when you put yourself in the shoes of someone who's attending every Friday, and they just see you as the guy that's like kind of leading it, they're probably like, man, this guy is incredible. Like this guy, you probably ran into people that are like, bro, you're the guy from the Friday Morning Swim Club.
There were a few.
Yeah.
The funniest was, I think it was like 4 like younger women walking down the street, and I was on the phone and they just started like shrieking. I was super uncomfortable. If they see this, not uncomfortable in a bad way, just like, this is bizarre.
Yeah.
They were like, oh my God, you're the Swim Club guy.
Yeah.
And in any chance I could, I would always, Nicole did we did equal work, right? I was just more the, like, I don't want to say public facing, but like I was the guy talking on the megaphone every week in front of people. Yeah. And I think when there's an Instagram following, people just
associate
that with their thing.
Yeah.
So I'd always try to correct that and be like, it's both of us.
That's cool.
Bring her into the conversation.
That's awesome.
But yeah, there were a few, or people wearing our merch out in the wild, like seeing that was a crazy thing. I mean, I'm sure you guys have experience with, but like, yeah, that one where they were just walking down the street and yelled, you're the Swim Club dude. Holy, like, this is really strange, man.
Was there a moment on a Friday where you looked at her and you're like, this might be getting too big?
Oh, 100%.
He was like, we too. Like, oh, they'd be allowed.
And that was probably the biggest, it surprises some people, but we got a lot of like hate online, which was a huge, we built thick skin, which I am so grateful that we had to go through that experience now, having that building a business, like, it's just going to be that's an impactful experience to go through. But a lot of people were like super concerned about the numbers and the safety, which we totally understand, but we also structured it in a way, like we were aware of those.
100%.
Hence why the floats, which we didn't get to talk more about that, but that was a lot of why we encouraged, like, it was
the floaties,
people's creativity coming out, right, in the floaties. And got some super weird, like, this dude had a pelican the size of a car, right? And it was just I'm like, where are you guys coming up with this? But the safety aspect was another reason why the floats became the thing they did, because then it just provided people an opportunity to just chill in the water and not have to tread. But I think it was probably end of the second year. Yeah, we would look at each other, and it wasn't like we're concerned that this is like too many people, but it was definitely a thought at the forefront of every like weekly conversation we had. We're like, okay, let's make sure this is How do we
think-
make this the safest version of this while
I
still
think when you're
continuing?
building something and it actually starts to gain traction, that's when people come out of the woodwork,
Yeah.
and you're gonna realize, man, there's people that are actually just like against us because we're now growing, which I think is something that every
That's so
entrepreneur
true.
needs, that thick skin, because friends of mine that go viral, like Edward here, there's this like viral hangover where it's like, man, these people comments they're coming at us hot. And I'm like, bro, it's going to come with, any success. But I'd love to know, was there ever a Friday where because you also are a photographer. You've been doing commercial photography for how long?
7 years.
7 years.
Nice.
That's awesome.
That's super cool.
We have an audience of obviously people in all different walks of life, but a lot of creative freelancers. What was it like balancing that when it was growing like crazy? Would you ever go from like a Friday morning swim club to like a shoot at a studio?
I would definitely go from swim club to travel
Wow.
like the next day and have to turn around
For work, yeah.
stuff. Yeah. Turn around our swim club stuff, get it to, like, if I was not the one sharing it, get it to like work, do 3 days of work to Nicole to then go to a commercial shoot for the next 3 days.
Wow.
The way I structured it was swim club. It took over everything, which was great. And it was like, I feel lucky to have had that experience. But at the same time, there were definitely like downsides to that because I had to say no to maybe half the work that was coming my way. It was just, I was prioritizing, like, is this work I want to say yes to? Do I have the bandwidth right now? I don't want to overwork myself and just drive myself into a creative rut if I say yes to everything. So there was that balance of, and I absolutely struggled with that for, probably the entire time we were doing it. It was just a feel it out and see where we're at. But yeah.
Going down into a little bit more of how you built this with like a team, like you mentioned your buddy who helped with the creative and also Nicole, like when it comes to building something with people, what is your perspective on that? Like, would you do it again? Like
1000%.
And also, like, what tips would you have for someone who's like, man, it's like lonely. Like, I wanna gather some people together and build something. Like, I feel like a lot of people want that, but it's hard to find those types of people that you can like build far and wide with. Like, any tips for building with people and what to look for, I guess you could say?
For sure. Like I literally get goosebumps with that question because that, I don't think, in building the next version of Swim Club or sauna business, it took the loneliness to the next level where I don't think like people realize necessarily how incredibly lonely it can be to try to build something and be the one or the two people that start that movement. Because there aren't a ton of people that understand what that feeling feels like and can relate to you and thus then talk to you and make you feel less lonely. Like you could start to build a team around like-minded people who have similar experience. Like there's only a handful of people that I've found that have really understood that. So tips would definitely be like, you never actually build something by yourself. Personally, I don't think you do that, right? There's always a team. There's always support. Swim Club would not have turned into what it did without our crew of 10 to 15 people. And it can be to the public, it could be Nicole and I, but it's not, right? There's a team behind that, just like there's a team for Lost Language Sauna. And then also mentors are huge, right? So I just reached out. I just like networked as much as I could. I don't like that word. I connected as much as I could.
That's good.
Yeah.
Like that reframe. With either people who have done something similar or people who just share similar values. And it's trial and error to like find your people. I met a lot of my people just by doing things that I wanted to do or going places that I enjoy, and then just being like open to conversation with strangers. As like silly as that sounds, this is one of my favorite stories. I literally met Nicole, which then prompted Swim Club, which then is prompting Sauna Bits. Like my next 20 years, I met her at her coffee shop because I was just going there probably 4 days a week to edit.
Yeah.
And then just started like every single time we'd chat about music, we chat, and then we found out we had a lot in common. And then kind of like just friendship went from there, and then it built into swim club and all that.
That's
So
awesome.
I think just like being open to meet that sound, I don't know if that's the greatest tip, but it's genuinely true. Like being open to meeting new people and learning how to talk to them
That's good.
in a way that like they feel, again, back to the real, just like be authentically you and do things because you want to do them and be open to talking to people along the way. Like you'll find your people.
Totally. I'm so curious. So Friday Morning Swim Club has now kind of been on pause. Now what's the thing that you're working on with the sauna business? Like what are some of the things that you learned during the Friday Morning Swim Club where you're like, oh, this was meant to be for me to figure this out for anything that I do going forward?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Because it sounds like you're still working with her on the sauna club. Right?
So that's a
different friend.
life partner, fiance.
Let's go. Congrats.
Let's go.
Hey, you got me fired up.
There we go. So Sarah, my fiance Sarah, and I are building the sauna business.
Yep.
Nicole owns the coffee shop with her husband.
Cool.
What are things? So the question was, what are things I learned building some club that
what
will
is
carry
something
over?
that you took away where you're like, man,
Gosh.
this is something that we're definitely gonna now bring into the sauna business? Because I think what's the common theme here is community. Where you were telling me after, I'm like, man, I'm excited for this, like, to bring people into, experience again where they're in community and we're spending time, whether it's like a sauna or cold plunge, or maybe you're like, yo, we're literally gonna do it again, but make sure we're doing it in a space where we're not gonna get fined or hit with
So that's actually how you just said that is kind of exactly how I've been talking about it, because I tell people we're building sauna business and usually the reaction is like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
What is that? Like people don't really know.
Yeah.
They know it's hot.
Yeah.
And there's a cold tub, but like the culture of it isn't necessarily, like places are exploding in the US. And if you haven't seen them, you will. Sauna spots, infrared cabin spots, the contrast therapy. It's everyone's talking about the physical benefits of the thing. And I'm like, those are great. We're not really going to talk about those, right? What me and Sarah are about to do is like literally what we did with Swim Club. So we're focusing on fun. We're focusing on getting people off their phones. We're focusing on something new and just building. I think the biggest thing I learned from doing that is if you build the culture, then you gotta, at the same time, you have to like fundamentally believe the thing you're offering is quality, which is we did for Swim Club. Quality and needed, but if you build the culture in a genuine way and you are there every day, like it's gonna work.
Yeah.
And
That's
I know
awesome.
that it sounds crazy to talk about a business that doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
And there's not really anything here like it.
Mm-hmm.
And to sit here and be like, of course this is gonna work because we're just literally doing what we were doing with Swim Club in a new kind of it's a pivot, but it's like a cousin.
That's awesome.
And I can't wait.
That's
Dude, next time we're coming back. We're gonna go
Let's
to-
go.
Hopefully, that's so awesome. I also just feel like you just said something so great where you build the culture and you're there every day. It's gonna work. Like, and it's something in need. I love how you kind of simplified it. You didn't overcomplicate it. It was just like, this is the blueprint. Because it sounds simple, but a lot of people, don't build culture. A lot of people build stuff that they're not even there themselves. And they also don't figure out if it's something that people actually care about. So it's like you have those three things. What I picked up from this episode as well is you just are so good at asking and not being afraid of hearing no. From people, whether that be to connect, whether that be to come to an event. And I think a lot of people who are in search of community or in search of building with other people, they're kind of like, oh man, it's so rough. But it's like, when was the last time you actually went out of your way to like invite someone you don't know to something? When was the last time you actually asked someone to do something? Like they're kind of waiting for community to like slap them in the face.
Yeah, no, you gotta go find it.
You gotta like find it. And that's kind of what I picked up.
Find it, or it'll find you if you put yourself out there and do what you were saying about asking people and not being afraid of a no. Or I mean, we like in the last month alone trying to we're getting to the next step. It's just one step after another to get this on business off the ground. You get no every day,
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, cool. That's part of the process.
Mm.
You have to have these conversations. You have to ask these things. You have to be willing to, it's just going to be how it felt for the first like 6 to 12 months of building it. But we're now on like month 14. It's a whole lot of failing and then figuring it out. And then you fail again and then you figure it out. But the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with failure. That it no longer really feels, it's more just like, of course, that when it happened the way that we want it to happen, because why would it? Now we have to
Pivot.
All we got to do is pivot and find a solution. And
That's so cool.
I'm selfishly interested about your identity that you kind of created for yourself. You are a professional photographer, but now you're building. It is like kind of unrelated, I would say, like sauna and
it's completely unrelated. Yeah, it's
entrepreneur.
weird.
Like, do you ever like figure out, like, do you ever wake up some days and you're just like, dude, what am I doing? Like, who am I? Like, am I a photographer? Am I an entrepreneur? Like, I'm just like, this is something that's just on my mind.
That's really good. Yeah.
So I'm just curious how you navigate that, because I feel like people generally box themselves into something and they try not to veer off. But how have you balanced, going down this path of starting a business like the sauna, and then also still, being a professional photographer and being known for that as well?
Yeah, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on that question too. Because you're in the same boat. I feel like I have like 4 different hats. And it's like I wake up one day and decide which one to put on. But it's more days than not, I wake up and think like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like I was gaining traction in the commercial photo world, what I felt like I was. And then I decided to like just stop doing
Take a
it.
little break.
To pursue a business
super
that
relatable.
like may not work.
Yeah.
Like what am I thinking?
Wow.
I don't know. I'm a big gut guy. So follow that. Trust
That's good.
that. And I think there are enough days where I wake up and I think, no, this is so clearly the next move. It's not even a question. It's in building Swim Club was like it was an accident.
Yeah.
We happened upon it. Now in 8 months or 8 weeks in, we absolutely saw, I was like, oh shoot, okay, I can see where this could go in 2 or 3 years. So now we have a vision for it. Let's keep it simple.
Wow.
We said no to pretty much politely no.
Yeah.
To like every major brand that reached out to collab, because it didn't align with what we were doing. We're like, we're keeping this thing free. It's simple. There's no brands attached to it because people need that. And so that was all gut. That was all just like, let's test this out and see what works, knowing and believing that it will turn into something at some point. And that's where we're at now with the sauna business.
Wow.
So I think there's days where it's professional photo. There's days where it's mostly days now where it's sauna business, but it's a gut, like, I spent 3 years doing it and now we're just going to keep riding that wave and we'll figure it out.
I got a business question.
What's up?
So you just said that you guys weren't charging for tickets.
Yeah.
But that was like your job for a while, right? Or were you also doing commercial photography to fund it?
I was doing commercial. I mean, that I just feel grateful and lucky to have been, like, I don't know why things have fallen the way they have for me, but I was able to get commercial photo work to the point where that sustained our lifestyle.
Wow.
Right. And we did not pay ourselves from Swim Club, from merch sales, a dime.
Okay.
We did it.
Wow.
It was free.
That's
It
awesome.
was free. We did it for 3 years. And that we had a lot of people telling us, you should, like, how are you going to monetize this?
Mhm.
You should monetize this. You're like a terrible businessman if you're not monetizing this huge community.
Mhm.
And it wasn't, we were just like, that ain't what this is.
Wow.
That's
We're
so
never
cool.
going to do that.
Bro, you're giving me Mac Miller vibes from when he started with
Okay.
Dat Piff. You're too young for that, but Dat Piff, where you put out free mixtapes, Mac Miller is like, I'm not charging for my mixtapes. People are like, you're crazy. But it's like in that, it's like you guys made it, maybe like you set the tone by saying, hey, this is a free event.
Yeah.
Whereas it could have been easy to have 10 different brand plugs.
If we wanted to
You could
turn that thing into a monster and put a lot of money behind it, we had brands lined up to
Wow.
do that. And we just knew that's not what, like, values don't align. It's not, it's going to turn into something that it's also wasn't, I mean, as cool and fun as like Instagram cool, it was sustainability. There were some questions, right? Like how large can that get?
Yeah.
And so it was just figuring it out. I guess, yeah, to go back to that question, like figure it out, trust that it'll turn into, or you'll know the next thing that it's going to turn into. You'll know when that feels.
And I think you just had trust in what you're building was something you're passionate about, you and your team and Nicole. And that's cool because a lot of people will go into things for the money. Like before they even have one person, they're only thinking about the money, and then they try to build community off that. And it's hard to build community around something that maybe it's just fundamentally not rooted in the right, belief that you have,
That is like, I mean, I know there are people like that. That's just a crazy way to live life.
Yeah.
I think even before that and in building that and now on to the next stage, like what I want to do with my next 10 to 20 years, or what I think anyone should do, is just create spaces where people feel welcome, people feel like a part of something bigger than themselves. They are interacting with people they don't know, like the mental, physical, social benefits from that. That's what we're all here to do, man.
Wow. I mean, from a business perspective, dude, you're all about people over profit.
That's huge. Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people right now since 2020 are like, man, I'm a freelancer. Let's go grind hard, get money. I'm in Miami. That's all I see. People that are flaunting their money. But none of those people have community. And the fact that you stand on that is so cool. And I see that in a lot of people in Chicago when we did the meetup today.
Yeah.
All these people are connecting and talking. And I think there's so much that can happen when you just simply, in a way, die to yourself. And you're like, hey, we all have something in common. Let's get past that surface levelness. And the fact that you are like, yo, I'm creating spaces for that. Come on. That's where I feel like me and Ed have a lot of connection with you, is that, with MIDCONVO, we have no sponsors.
Yeah.
Matter of
let's go.
fact, each trip, we be spending some money.
Yeah. Literally just out of our own dime. Like I don't even think we've really made much money at all, really, from.
But if we
But
can,
you saw this, the hang.
yeah,
before this,
today.
Like, that's what it's all about.
yeah. And I think that's why I think what you're doing is so cool. And that's why I think what you're going to be building, what you're building with the sauna business, is going to have so much success.
Agreed.
Even more so
Let's
because,
hope so. Because I can be all about community as much as I want, but if the business doesn't work,
Hey.
totally.
Well,
but,
now
I mean, we have faith, but it's a funny thing to hear, because like we got to build the business first, and then prove that it's like grow or scalable, and we can grow it to multiple locations and whatnot. But
that's good.
Well, good thing we're on the mic documenting this, because we'll be able to pull this clip in a couple years and
we'll
be
see.
like,
I also just
brought it
want
to
to say
life.
it's cool that you're building this with your partner,
yeah.
your fiance. As of when did you?
We've been engaged for a minute. Yeah,
Nice.
We're like
Cool.
We're excelling at
Dude.
the engagement
Nice.
Well, I'll
phase.
tell you,
Nice.
I've been married for 8 years, and
Okay.
my wife and I, we've been doing business together. And it took a while for us to get on the same page, but now that we're on the same page, it's the most beautiful thing to build something with someone that you're obviously in love with, but also you have similar values with. So I think that's just another cool element that people are going to look up to and be like, bro, they're this power couple. I want to be around them.
I got questions about that.
Oh, let's go. I'm going to write a
Because-
book on it.
Oh, I will be your first customer.
Let's go.
When you guys started working together, were there days where like you thought maybe this isn't the best move?
Bro, 1,000%. We took breaks from like working, not being married.
Okay.
Our marriage is healthy. But we're both
creative.
creatives. She's kind of been the wardrobe stylist, content creator, model. Right now she's a UGC creator. And it's hard as being a creative to break up with the creative sometimes and be willing to accept feedback. So I've been in rooms with her where I have to give her feedback. Early on, neither of us was able to receive or accept feedback from one another. But now we figured out what our lanes are. It's literally no different than like a company. It's like we both had to figure out, okay, I'm going to stay in my lane, you're going to stay in your lane, and it's going to complement one another. So now she's really into like the creative side and I'm really into the business side.
Okay.
So my thing is figure out as soon as possible through trial and error, which comes with arguments.
Lots of air.
What lanes you guys need to stay in And if you're anything like me where you're kind of a perfectionist, you got to be willing to give up that creative freedom sometimes to be like, oh, you got this. Even though in your head you're like, babe, why would you do it like that? That's such a real thing in relationships, you know?
That is so good to hear. Gives me confidence and validation, because we're currently we're a year in, but we still, our business will have something up and running in September of this year, which
Nice.
is super
Dude,
exciting.
awesome.
But until that happens, like we're not really able to find our own lane, sort of. It's like I do the bulk of the work to get it off the ground because that's what I'm really passionate about. And it's just, I have the creative freedom, the freedom, not just creative freedom, but the time with commercial work to be able to do that and commit to it when she is a general manager at a gym
Nice.
up on the north side. And it's essentially like a 9-to-5 commitment. And so she comes in the door after a day of work. I've been at home doing this all day. And I'm like, all right, honey, I got this update, this, and we got to talk about all of it.
Wow.
She's like, I need silence.
Yeah.
So there's like a balance
Wow.
that we're finding and gonna have to find. But I sat down with 2 or 3 business owners in Chicago who are couples who own a business together at the start of this process to get just like talk about their experience and get their advice and insight. And that was the number one thing that they said is
That's good.
find your lane, find your responsibilities, and like
Running it.
try to, as best you can, to just run in those. Yeah.
Also, I used to say, hey, why didn't these things happen? Or why didn't you do this? To how can I help you figure this out?
That's
That was a big one, because I will answer emails from clients within like 15 minutes. Like, I love being fast with email, where she's like, hey, babe, it's like, you should go check my inbox. It's been 3 days since I looked at it. And I'm like, how can I help you answer your emails quicker?
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's
Just
my
like-
feedback.
Just like finding strengths and weaknesses. Like you said, it's kind of like how you would find even co-founders, how you'd find business partners. Like they are your life partner, but they now have to be your partner in business too. So I feel like there's a lot of crossover there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to kind of round it out, a lot of things I took away from this episode are obviously community. I want to go back and just listen to this conversation because I'm feeling inspired to like bring more people together. But for those who are based in Chicago, who want to maybe obviously see what you're building, where can people find you, and what's on the horizon for the Sauna Club, and when people can expect to kind of be tapped into some of the stuff that you're building?
Little known fact that if you do want to come kick it in person, we still go to the lake every Friday morning. Year round.
Hey, you heard it here, bro.
Yeah,
you
there
heard
you
it
go.
here.
No,
Year
You heard it
round.
here.
Year round, we're big cold water people, so we'll be there pretty much every Friday that we're in town.
Yeah.
The entire year.
After this episode
Yeah,
drops,
we're
it's like,
about to. Yeah,
We're running it back.
everyone's back in the lake.
but aside from that, our sauna business, Lost Language Nordic Sauna, is coming to Ravenswood in like September, October.
Sick.
We're gonna have an outdoor experience, the only one like it in Chicago. The vision for it is quality time made simple for everyday people. Right?
Ooh.
So it is about
It's a bar.
it's a bar. Yeah.
It's a bar.
Sarah came up with that.
Hey.
It's about putting our phones down. It's similar to swim club in the sense that to do the activity, you have to put your phone down, which is something I have been, I'm rambling here. It's fine.
this is
no,
fire.
you're good.
Huge on is the importance, and what people don't realize it. Like, you can tell them, hey, you should find time to put your phone down. But it's like, unless they are forced to do it, like at swim club, to do the activity, you had to put it down. Sure, there are people like taking photos, which was awesome. UGC, shout out UGC. But to do the actual activity, put it down, get in the water, and then you're surrounded by like probably 5 to 10 people in close proximity that you don't know.
Wow.
And the activity itself prompted conversation. And to me, that's what people will
awesome.
like. People will say like the power of social media. And I could not disagree with that more. Like, yes, it helped, right? But the reason that thing took off the way it did was because it forced people to put their phone down and have those interactions that they didn't know they needed. And then they left and thought, wow, that was like a really cool experience. We got to go again. We have to tell 3 friends about it next time.
That's awesome.
And so translating to sauna, it's the same thing, right? It's obviously, it'll be a little different. We're going to have like floaties and our cold plunges. We're going to make it fun.
That's cool.
We're going to have like little nodes to swim club through that. But to do the activity, to sauna, you're going to have to put that thing away, and you're going to sit by 10 to 15 people that you don't know. And we're going to have a culture. We're going to create a culture that feels like it's a space where you're walking in and it's curiosity over judgment, right? And we're just meeting new people. And I think it's just the marketing side of it will be really fun to get people to try something new. It's just like we did with that. So that's coming in the fall of 2025, and then brick and mortar probably like the next year, and then it's just
Wow.
What's
see
on
what
the
happens.
horizon?
This or this.
Nah, it's gonna do great. And I know that when me and Paul are back, or neither of us are back, either individually or we're back together with our families, we want to come check out your spot.
go.
So
That's awesome.
really appreciate
Yes,
that.
absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for sharing everything on the mic. I think a lot of our audience are going to walk away from this one encouraged. I love that you started something, the swim club, not with the intention of making money, but with bringing people together. And I think that's a key takeaway here is, dude, I always fall into this when my wife gives me ideas or friends, I should start this business. I'm like, is it going to make money? And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, let's pull out the spreadsheet. Let's like look at the market, But it's telling of your character and also how you run your business. So yeah, this
You
has been a
guys
really
are
good
giving me
episode.
way too many compliments for the last 30 minutes. I need to return the favor. Yeah.
No.
I so much appreciate you guys having me on, and for you guys coming to Chicago to host this.
Yeah.
It's been really nice. The feeling is mutual about just community first, always building with others first. And I think if you have a quality idea, it's a good idea, you really believe in it, that it's going to bring good to a lot of people, you just have to start something, and you just have to. I was talking to Steven earlier, just saying like, you have to do something. Just do it, right? Everyone has good ideas. And then those doubts start to creep in, or questions like, is this going to be profitable? What's this going to turn into? Is this a waste of time? What if I look up 4 months from now and it's not working? Like, then what? Just do it. Just start something.
That's
and you'll
awesome.
figure it out. And if you genuinely believe in it, then if it doesn't work out, you'll pivot to something else, and then just spend the next 10 years doing exactly that.
That's so good. Hey, where can people find you on the Instagram?
Yeah.
At lost language song. No, at Andrew_Glatt. Glatt.
We're gonna put the links down in the description.
And at Friday Morning Swim Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't post anymore.
Yeah.
RIP,
But go to the
but it's
go to
there.
the website. We'll put the link as well. It's just a cool visual. Like we'll lay something over hopefully, but even if we don't, go check out the link of Friday Morning Swim Club. It's just so cool to see the aerials. Like what we're
I'll
talking.
get
It'll
you
give
some
more
drone
context.
footage. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll get you some good stuff.
Oh, sick. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining the episode. Thanks for everyone who are listening and watching, and catch you guys in the next one.
Peace.
Thank you guys. Peace.
Peace.